Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for another very special edition of WOWSA Live. We're here with a World Open Water Swimming nominee, a group of swimmers who participated in the Antarctic 2020 International Swim. And Ger Kennedy from Ireland organized this swim, and I'd like him to introduce the concept and the individuals who participated in this swim.
Thank you, Stephen. Hello, everybody. The concept, it's actually great to see some nice faces. Actually, I recognize a few girls, Dacia from Antarctica too. Actually, it's lovely to see us all. But we started a project, it took me about 3 years of a thought process into how we actually could physically do this. And I didn't think it was going to be simple, but I just thought that with the skills I had, I was able to put together a group of normal swimmers into bringing them into an Antarctica. But then I realized how difficult it was, and permission-wise and logistics. And so the first stumbling block we hit, a couple of companies actually refused us, which I can now know why. Obviously, the high risk of actually bringing a group of swimmers into the Antarctic Circle. So it took a good few of us, a lot of writing and stuff from my end to certain people. And I think, to be honest with you, I think with the Irish connection that I had with the likes of the Shackleton Autumn Series or the museum in Athy, and the basic historical stuff of Irishness in Antarctica. I think when I eventually got to chat to a few of the guys, and I was trying to get more involved in the historical side of Irish in Antarctica, that they when I did apply to a lady who actually is the director for Antapply, I think some backward help of my who I am to them, and also who I am as Irish to the Antarctica Society of Historical Society. So I think all that combination of actually just not going as a swimmer, I had to go as a kind of a ambassador as well. And I think all this came together. Luckily, that the company Antapply were able to accept at least some conversation, and more we got in touch with by phone call, by video call, and various things, and we were able to communicate with each other to actually even trying to explain what we'd like to do and trying to explain what we'd like to achieve, what's possible, and it was quite delicate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, from the time you had that concept in mind to the day that the first person started to swim, how long was that?
It was about 3 years, 1 month.
Wow.
It took. The first year was kind of just, sitting around a table. We sat around in Dublin Chamber of Commerce and talked about it with a small sort of a group of a small committee. And we're trying to figure this out. And it's easy from a desk. Oh yeah, we get this big sponsors and we get this and we'll have all this. And no, that's not going to happen. It didn't happen. And I realized, yes, I've taken a monster, and it's probably my biggest challenge to date in expedition wise to actually pull this off successfully and not ruin any kind of swimming for Antarctica for anyone for the future.
Yeah. And then when people expressed interest in participating in this event, how did you vet them? How did you understand that this person, if they did enter the water, they can accomplish what they set out to do and do so safely?
Yeah, there was a vetting process, and thankfully I knew most of the swimmers. We didn't advertise, multiple kilometers or multiple mile options. I prefer the lowered option, which would be a lower distance, which is much easier to handle. Eventually then the people who were going for more kilometers, they had a CV of their you know, obviously their own ice swimming career, but also their training up to date. That was a kind of a Google Drive log that I was able to, they had to log in, and literally I was able to see their training process, you know, as it was going to well, even if they were in UK or anywhere, and constant communication with everyone to realize that, look, this can go wrong. And if the training, if the vetting process doesn't work, and the medical process that we were using IISA as our governing body over all our swims, and if that didn't go ahead, well, then we could risk literally destroying swimming in Antarctica.
Yeah, and I'd just like to jump in and ask the participants who actually went there, what did they expect? What did they experience? And, you know, how is it swimming in Antarctica? Those three questions. What do you expect? What do you experience? And
sure.
how
Well,
is it swimming?
If we could bring in Jane Hardy, if that's okay, Jane.
Hi. Can you see me?
No.
Oh, I've got, it says, but I don't know what to do. It's technology. I've tried to switch it on. I've even texted my son and asked him to come down on his computer and help me. But yeah, I'm sorry you can't see me. It's probably a blessing. What did I expect? I had no idea what to expect. I just knew I was going to the absolute end of the world. For me, I was really excited because I'm absolutely passionate about wildlife and wilderness and anything David Attenborough. And it didn't let me down at all, because it was just like being in an Attenborough movie. It was amazing down there. It was just, it is, they call it the last frontier, and it really, really is. That was the first one. What was the second one?
What did you experience when you actually were in the water or en route to swim?
Oh, just sheer exhilaration, really. I mean, the fact that I'd actually got the opportunity to be down there. I mean, there's a handful of people that get to go to Antarctica. It's like a once in a lifetime dream come true thing. I mean, I'll never go down there again, just from the financial aspect of it, if you like. So yeah, very, very honored, very, very blessed, very, very fortunate. Yeah. And how was my swim? It was chilly, but it was incredible. And thank you, Ger. All I can do is thank Ger for organizing it. And then also, really fortunately, because I was the only English person there, I mean, the people that went down there did the most amazing swims. I mean, Ger and Paul and Cath, I mean, flipping out, I mean, incredible what those three did. The whole mile and everything, and it was colder where they swam. But for me, thank you, Cath, for being Welsh, but because you're Welsh and the other girls are Irish, I got to be the first English woman to swim an ice kilometre, which is hilarious, because I only learned how to swim 12 years ago. So I'm not one of these.
Wow.
I'm not a pool swimmer. I'm 50 something and I'm making up for lost time. So I've been swimming for 12 years. I started having swimming lessons when my youngest child had swimming lessons. So yeah, I've been making up for lost time ever since. So for me to do that was amazing. And what's even more funny, I'm the first English woman to do it. And like Lewis Pugh's the first English man. So like I'm up there with Lewis, but like not even comparable when it comes to swimming ability. So yeah, cheers, Ger. Yeah. Fantastic.
Jane, I have a question. You've done other cold water swims before. What was the difference between doing a cold water swim in the UK and going at the bottom of the world and doing it?
The temperature. The ice swimming in the UK, I mean, the chill swim that you do at Colin Hill, they were brilliant, but the water was only like 6 degrees. God, there's no comparison. Just the beauty and the wilderness and the sea and the ice and the icebergs. And I mean, I didn't get the orca, but Cath will be able to tell you there's a bit of exhilaration, extra exhilaration thrown in with orcas and leopard seals and God knows what else. It's yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Great. Ger, if you could introduce another swimmer.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jane. Jane done actually a kilometer in Deception Island, which where, by the way, Lewis actually also done his kilometer too, his first kilometer, by the way. Just let you know that piece of history there. But yeah, if we could bring in Cat Pendleton from Wales, just Cat is well, she's now a Welsh superstar, I call her, but she deserves everything she's given, because it's she was an asset to the expedition and brought a bit of good sense of humor, which kept us all going. And so just say hello, Kat. Thank you.
I've unmuted myself. I'm sorry. I've been trying to change my background because I'm not in the posh ice palace.
So no, Kat, I think Stephen's unmuted there, but I know obviously we're fairly well connected, and I know everything, like you were doing literally an ice mile a week for your training at one stage, just in preparation for Antarctica. But I mean, obviously Antarctica, traveling so long to get there. I mean, just try and explain that to people if you can.
Yeah, that was it was a long way, wasn't it? It was a long time before we could swim. So I'd been training so hard, as you said, Jay. I was doing an ice mile every week, and I tried working it out. I was probably clocking up somewhere between 7 and 10 kilometers at under 5 degrees every week from definitely November, December, and January, and probably half of October. So I was so used to swimming, and then using the ice freezer to sort of trying to top it up. But my biggest worry was the amount of time that I had between traveling and actually doing the swim, because I don't think I've ever gone that long. Well, now this year I can't swim at all, but I've never gone that long without swimming before an event. So that was quite a big worry for me, that would I be acclimatized still? And Ger kept reassuring me that my body wouldn't forget it, but there was absolutely no way that I was going to go into a cold shower just to, you know, keep acclimatized. But I can see that you've just changed your background there, Ger, to one of our test swims. So yeah,
well,
so
I'm there too. Like, you show my belly. You show my belly too. It's okay.
Look at my belly. So yeah, so I came down a couple of days early, so that we could swim the extra days that we did at the Beagle Channel. But it was warm, wasn't it? It was like 10 degrees, if I remember rightly, and I was still. Ooh. So when we got in for that first test swim with Paul and Reddy, Matty and yourself, that was such a relief just to get in and swim. Okay, I was left like a little tadpole at the back. All the speedies have gone, but that for me was amazing. I just jumped in and I was like, woo, and then swam back to the boat. But that was a real confidence boost. And then we had the joy of having the second swim, which I've got to say it has to be the best swim of my life, the swim around the iceberg. I'll never ever forget that swim. It was just magical, where everybody got to swim that day, which was really nice, wasn't it? Do you remember, Jane? It was like swim to the iceberg and back, and then myself, you and Reddy got to actually swim around it. It wasn't a long swim. I think it was about 500 meters, but the beauty in that 500 meters was just unbelievable. And after that, I felt ready. I still was super nervous, but yeah, being able to have those two preparation swims was the world.
I have a question to ask. But from the time you left your home, in the UK, to the time you got down and did that swim in the Beagle Channel, and then when you did, how long was that? Was that a few weeks? Was it?
Oh, well, it really was. No, I think it was probably. Jane, did we fly out on the Thursday? I think so. I probably had my last. It was probably 8 days, but to me, in a world of somebody that loves swimming, it took us 6 days to get there. So yeah, I had the two test swims. So actually, to my swim, I think it might have been 9-10 days that I'd done a long swim. But we'd had two swims in the Beagle, no, 3 swims in the Beagle Channel, which were warmer, but we'd still got to swim. And then I'd had the 2 test swims that were both about 500 meters.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I want to go back.
What is the difference between swimming at, let's say, 2 or 3 degrees Celsius versus 0?
It's huge. I remember when I was first starting, you know, 5 years ago, everybody said to me, when you go under 10 degrees, you feel each degree as you drop down. And I was like, okay. And then I was told under 5 degrees, you'll feel every half degree. And it's absolutely true. I think for me, I have a nemesis temperature, and that's 3. I like 4 and 5, and I like 2, and I like 0 now. But 3 is a really difficult one for me, because I think for 3, that's when the pain really starts. It really intensifies for me. 3 is my figure.
Got it. Got it. Ger, you want to?
Yeah, thanks, Kat. Yeah, I said with the 0 degree stuff, we were at the end of the summer of Antarctica, so the air temperature, if I remember, was maybe, it wasn't bad, -3 maybe, I think, maybe of our swim, quite warm for us. And the 0 degree, and I'll bring Paul in a second now, the 0 degree for the 3 of us on our mile distance, you know, it really didn't, it took it out of us, but not, I've had worse, mainly due for air temperature. So plus the buoyancy of the seawater actually helped us. And so, you know, it was a dream swim for the 3 of us, you know. So, well, let's bring Paul in, Paul Georgescu. Hi, Paul.
Hello everybody.
I said we've been connected with Paul from Romania for a good few years before this journey together. And Paul's a great ambassador for swimming in Romania, and you know, he decided himself and his friend to come along on board, which is fantastic. So, and again, opportunities arise when we were there, and you know, Paul's journey. So just have a chat, Paul, about your journey to Antarctica.
So first, I want to say thank you to Ger, because I was lucky meeting him 3 years ago, no, Ger, or 2 years ago, I don't remember exactly, when Ger came in Romania to swim in Bula Lake. And then the guy who brought Ger just called me and say, come on, Paul, you have to meet somebody famous. Ger Kennedy. Okay, I just Googled Ger Kennedy and I saw, whoa, I have to meet him. And then we decided to, in the year I want to cross the North Channel to try ice swimming. I said, okay, I will call you when I decide to cross the North Channel. And in that year, I called Ger. I said, okay, I will start, and I want to do the ice mile. Would you like to be my observer? And he said, okay, now let's fix the date. And we fixed the date, and I did the ice mile. It was amazing for me, because a lot of people came there, because, you know, I'm a PE teacher and children were there next to me, and I was very excited about it, and they give me a lot of energy. They give me all the time a lot of energy when they are there. And as Kat said, for Antarctica, now an ice mile was our training. And all the time when I trained for Antarctica, I sent to Ger the water temperature, the distance, everything, and I trained more than 1 mile, I think 2 kilometers or something like this. And Ger, okay, if you swam 2 kilometers, it's okay now for Antarctica. And you asked first what was the questions given about the 3 questions.
Yeah. What did you expect? So I know you were a water polo player. You did your first ice mile in a pool. I think it was about 2 or 3 degrees. And then all of a sudden you signed up to go to Antarctica. So what were you expecting as a water polo player and a pool swimmer?
I always like to do it step by step, you know. So after ice mile, Ger said, oh, you are fast. Let's come to the World Championship in Murmansk. I said, okay, talk to my coach and fix everything with the trainings and everything, because it's something new even for my coach. And then I was concentrated for Murmansk, you know. And after Murmansk in the airport, you remember, Ger, you said, why don't you come in Antarctica? I said, okay.
Never stop.
Let's see what sponsorship I will get. And so I start to imagine how is in Antarctica from Murmansk airport, because from the moment I decide to do something, my mind is there, you know. So every time I train so even in the normal pool with normal water temperature. And in the lake with 2 degrees temperature, my mind was always in Antarctica. And when we started the journey in Antarctica, I didn't talk at all. You remember, Ger? I was...
You were very quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, because
we
my
on.
mind was there. My mind was there, you know. My mind was in the water.
You drove me mad, actually. You kept asking me questions I couldn't answer.
we were lucky that the mile in Antarctica was quite at the beginning of the journey, you know, because after I did the ice mile, I was very happy and I started to talk to Joy and to enjoy the trip, this amazing trip. So the water was, I don't know, I don't think about water. I don't think negative all the time because a lot of people ask me, even in Hawaii, when I swim Molokai, a lot of sharks or everything. I said, no, if you are positive, nobody will attack you. And from that moment, I said, okay, I will think positive. And you remember before we enter in the water in Antarctica, Wales family, just, you remember the story there, they teach the baby whales how to hunt, you know. And Cat, you remember you had to wait a lot.
I actually have a video of it. There was just before Cat swam, a pod of orca whales, a big pod of about 10, came into the sort of swim zone, and they were actually teaching the young orcas to hunt a small baby bump off a small humpback. And this was explained to us by, there was a frantic, it wasn't frantic about us, it was frantic that the leaders had never seen this before, so close.
Okay, Ger, I have to ask a question here.
Yeah.
I know you have all kinds of safety plans. I know you've been, but did you really have a safety plan for a pod of orcas?
No, absolutely. You can have method statements all you want, Stephen, but this just literally, unfortunately, to explain everyone that I was supposed to swim at a certain point, and I had a chest infection and I failed the medical, and I promoted Cat and then Paul. And literally, I came up on my berth, feeling sorry for myself, and I came up and I was frantically screaming. There was orcas and there was humpbacks, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is nuts! Like this is how do I?" You know, I felt sorry for Cat and Paul because the nervousness, obviously, is like, Jesus, what are they going to do?
And we had another friend. You remember?
Well, we had a leopard seal. I'll show you some pictures now in a sec. But
a friend.
So I mean, you know, it was amazing to look at. But then I came up and I changed the course completely. We were actually able to use the captain's radar to track the orcas, which were actually going away from the ship a good bit away. And then we went a mile in the opposite direction, and radar GPS the mile for Cat to swim, and the same process for Paul. 4 Zodiacs just on watch, 1 cameras. There was actually 6 Zodiacs just for, say, Cat's and Paul's swim. You know, so there's a huge amount of logistics and worry that, you know, that people don't see, that it's so difficult to swim down there. And so, but the orcas were pretty special, and there is a video. I just don't know how to play it on this thing. I can show you this, but
what we'll do is we can actually edit it into the program later.
Yeah, I'll send that to you, Stephen. Okay. Yeah. But I can show you. I have a picture here of the leopard seal. Actually, Jane, you'd be delighted because I have pictures you're looking for, I think, to identify the leopard seal.
Now, how big is the leopard seal?
There is there now, looking behind me. Sorry.
Head down.
Actually, there, I'll close my camera for a sec. So that's about it's about 3.5 to 4 meters.
Oh, wow.
That seal is, and it's quite frightening actually. And as I said to you in another program, it's like a kind of a raptor. You know, they're solid muscle. They can do whatever they want to the penguins. They just toy with prey because there's such abundance of them. And when we see this guy, we were trying to tone it down that he doesn't exist, but they are there, And so, I think it's, I think when you enter this domain and stuff, we are totally out of our comfort zone regarding this, the pristine waters. A swimmer should, are very privileged to get there. Yeah. And I think we're all extremely lucky. Even if you got one swim, I know other people wanted more swims, and it just the opportunity, the doors open and close very quickly unless you completely charter a ship purely for swimming. We had tourists involved as well. So there's a lot of logistics, even just moving zodiacs from people from tourism to actually do an activity.
Yeah, you had 0 ice milers. You had people who did ice kilometers, but you also had a group of people who actually did less than that.
Yeah.
I say less. They still got into Antarctica. They still got into the Southern Ocean, and they did a tremendous effect. But what I liked about your swim is you had a whole range of people.
Yeah, there were swims there. I listed in the bio there. They range from 100 meters to obviously the mile. But the mile was, don't get me wrong, we really supported everyone else in every swim. If they wanted to do 50 meters in Antarctica or 10 meters, that was the way it was. Everyone was treated very well. Everyone got to do their dream swim, which is swimming in Antarctica, properly swimming in the icy waters. And everyone, I think all, from my count right, there's 15 swimmers, all swimmers got to swim. They're actually, they all got to swim their chosen distances from the beginning, because we asked them, what would you like to do? So I can try logistically arrange that, like a 500 meter, even 100 meter is a big deal to arrange there because of what icebergs and stuff, that logistic of 100 meters is quite a lot.
Got it. Well, we'll open it up to the participants, and if they want to share their experiences too. Go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself, and just share your experience.
Yeah, I don't see one, but there's where actually some tourists, I think Dashna.
Yeah.
How are you? I know you were actually.
Yeah,
how are you?
Fine.
You were actually on the ship with us as a tourist, enjoying Antarctica, and then you met us crazy guys and girls. So how did you find watching what we did?
Oh, yeah, like you said, I was a tourist. I had no idea that you all would be joining us. It was a special treat, a privilege. And, I'm surrounded with people who are not so daring. So to see you all do that was quite amazing, phenomenal. I'll never forget that. And it was great to meet you all. And I had a little bit of a taste. At the end, we got a chance, the tourists did, for the polar dip, I think. So that was just a quick few seconds. Yeah. But I got a chance to experience what you all did. And I just have total respect for how much training you did and the effort, and just your pure, amazing ability to do the ice mile. I was in a group of 6 of us, so my husband and 2 other couples. We're from the US, and by the way, today was our inauguration, so
congratulations.
Hope and healing for all of us and the world too. So super excited about that. I was excited about this call, but yeah, so it was a special treat to see you all there.
When you think about your visit to Antarctica, you saw orcas, you saw penguins, you saw leopard seal. In that scale, where does these human Antarctic swimmers lie? Was it more impressive? Was equally impressive?
I think it was more impressive because, you know, I had seen orca whales, you know, the footage, documentaries. I'd never seen or heard of this before. So it was pretty mind blowing. Like, you guys are going to do what? So it was very impressive. It was my first exposure or even learning that even there's people who do this stuff, this kind of stuff, daring stuff, and just a great bunch of people. Great experience. Unforgettable.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to comment?
Martina Ring, if you'd like to. Oh, maybe, there she is.
Sorry, I'm only after joining. I'm only on my way out of work.
Yeah, Grant, just go ahead, Steve.
Yes. What were your expectations before you went down there, and what did you experience actually when you entered the water?
Me?
Yes.
I suppose I had dual expectations. I was going to Antarctica from the natural history and wildlife perspective, and then the icing on the cake was the swimming. I suppose the first swim we got to do, you know, it was, oh Jesus, it's 0 degrees. And then you acclimatize and you just get on with your swim. The second swim, certainly that I was involved in, the water didn't feel anything like just over 1 degree. You know, it was completely different. I think it was the surroundings, and, you know, the endeavor was driving the adrenaline. And, you know, we had also created such a buzz on the trip as well that everybody was enthusiastic about what we were doing, even though it was completely off the chart in craziness that some people had seen. But, you know, it was one of those once in a lifetime experiences. And I think we showed that, you know, all levels of expertise can do ice or cold water swimming. You don't have to be an Olympian to do this. You can be an ordinary person who builds up your endurance and ability over time. And, you know, it's one of those kind of achievable things. You know, and I just feel that that was important too. And that we were also trying to highlight, you know, the marine ecology of our beautiful planet down there. Like, what amazed me as well was, you know, there was really only 3 colors down there: black, white, and blue. And it was just one of the most beautiful places on the planet to see. And that's just my experience. You know, the group was incredible. I never would have got to go without the group. And we met so many wonderful people on the trip that will be with us for a lifetime, I think.
Yeah, interesting. So I get the white of the snow, I get the blue of the water. Where does the black come into play? Martina, that's a question.
It's just
to you.
the darkness in the shadows.
Okay, got it.
You know, and within the crevices. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Did anybody who did swim, Paul, Cat, the others, I know Cat spends her time in ice freezers. I know that's a favorite location for Ger. I mean, what's harder, jumping into the Southern Ocean or crawling into an ice freezer?
Crawling into an ice freezer.
I agree on that. Yeah, it's easier to get in Antarctica waters than an ice freezer.
Yeah, but you do integrate that into your training.
I only integrated it really for going to Antarctica, because when we went to the World Champs, we had a really mild winter. So I tried to sit in an ice bath and I couldn't do it. So I'd spoken to Jay because I was getting a bit twitchy of, if we have a really mild winter, how am I going to survive in Antarctica? So David told me about the Australians and the freezer. So that's how the freezer came in. But to be honest, it was a bit of a push to get me in there the month or 2 before I did. And I do think it really helped. And right now in lockdown, because we're not allowed to swim in Wales, I'm actually starting to really enjoy sitting in my freezer. Something's gone really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in it now because I'm not able to swim, in the hope that when we can move, my body will still have some acclimatization. I might have forgotten how to swim, but I should be able to stick the low temperatures.
Yeah. And Ger, when I get in cold water, and I define cold water much differently than you, you know, when I get into water that's below 15 degrees, I swim, I have to have my head up, I start to hyperventilate, I try to control it. What do you guys do at 0 degrees Celsius?
Interesting. Yeah, it does take a long time to get to this kind of 0 degree swimming level, and to have a reasonable recovery. You know, it is tough. We're not playing it down. It's extremely tough as the body starts to suffer from the cold during your time in the water. But I think it's a combination of like what Paul and Cat have done, you know, to get to this extreme level. You know, again, could be ice miles every week, you know, as training in 4 degrees or 3 degrees, regular, like 4 times a week, cold, plus also physical fitness training. So it does take an awful lot together, but I think any swimmer can do it, but you really have to want to do it, because it can be quite painful on the extremities. And you know, it's not something you take lightly. And plus, where we were going was so remote, there was actually and we had to get special insurance to cover this. There was no remote helicopter assistance to where we were. So that was a major factor in actually who was actually going to swim in certain areas, because the repatriation of a patient or medical assistant wasn't there. So that was a big concern for the actual expedition leader and the directors of the ship. So again, when I looked at Paul and Cat's training and my own, you know, I had to be clinical, and we had to be making things look simple, because that's the way it should be, you know.
Yeah. When you exited from the water, I assumed you went into some kind of warm shower or maybe cool shower initially. How did you handle the rewarming process?
That was difficult. That's the one thing I looked at a ship, because I've never been on the ship. I had no sauna. It was an expedition ship, so it's slightly lower standard than a cruise liner, which I picked because of how integrated you become with the crew, which we did, and especially socially drinking, you know. Yeah. But the only method we had on board was a warm shower. That was the only access to hot water we had. So we walked through a few route plans from the rear of the ship when each swimmer was brought in. And this is the swimmers that are swimming off the ship. As soon as they go up the gangplank at the rear, which again is a difficult logistic, we had to walk through it and make sure it was physically, can the swimmer be able to walk up like a steps and then walk them through. So there was a kind of a protocol of who was assisting and the logistics all the way, and the nearest cabin to the actual exit point of the ship. So we made it look easier, because I've done this before in various places with shower recovery, and then with Paul and Cat and myself, you know, we're quite strong recoveries. And Paul uses the Wim Hof Method. I don't. I just suck it up and shower me, and that's it, you know. And same with Cat. She's as mad as bonkers as me. But again, when it came to like, I know we're strong, and I don't want to hone in on that. It's more when we went back to like the 1 kilometer swims, which is where Jane and stuff comes in. There was some difficult recoveries. You know, it was 1 degree, 1.1, I think, in the water in Deception Island. But the traveling to and from the exit point of the actual volcano beach to the ship was long. So the swimmers actually suffered more, in my opinion, you know, because of that logistic movement of getting back in a Zodiac, getting them out of the Zodiac, you know, and that kind of stuff took time. So, you know, their recoveries were more difficult because we had about 4 people or 5 people assisting us. they had the same, but it just took longer.
Got it.
You know, so their recoveries were a bit more difficult, and they were longer in the water. So that was a logistic.
Yeah. Paul, can you explain the Wim Hof method that you utilize for your rewarming?
Yeah, it's a method of breathing and increase your oxygen in your cells and in your blood. This will help a little bit, but it helps because the shock when you enter in the water is not as strong as a normal body, you know. And you know when the hypothermia starts, you know, all the blood goes to the vital organs, you know. That's why we don't feel anything in our hands and our legs, because we don't have blood there anymore. And I'm doing breathing exercise before to enter in the water, and after I go out from the water, I do some exercise to push the blood back to the hands and to the legs. So I start the recovery outside. Then I will do the same exercise indoor, and then I will start to have a shower. And after I'm not shaking, I go in sauna. So it's if I stay 20 minutes or 30 minutes in the water, the recovery will last 1 hour at least.
Yeah.
And every time when I go out from the water, I focus on the breathing all the time. You remember, Ger, when you took me out of the water and the lady said, "What happened? What's happened with Paul?" Because I was breathing all the time.
Yeah.
So leave him. He has his method. Leave him.
He wants to go to the toilet, I said to her.
In Antarctica, it was difficult because I couldn't do the exercise because the shape was moving, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't have the stability to do it, and then I went immediately in the shower, and I focused on breathing, and it was okay. It was okay, but my two fingers from my legs, the color, it wasn't so good, and I was worried. But all the body was okay, but two fingers were not okay. And after 15 minutes, I think the color began to have the normal color, and everything was okay. But as Ger said, the most important thing in ice swimming is the recovery, because with motivation you can swim as much as you can, but the problem is when you go out from the water, when the blood has to come back to his place, and that moment is critical. If you don't know how to do it, it's very dangerous. My first experience with ice swimming, so when I started to train for ice mile, I've been to a swimming pool. I make 2 holes because it was very icy, and I went. I swim under the ice and go in the other hole. And it was the owner of the club. He said, "Do it one more time, one more time, one more time." I stay 15 minutes like this, and after that, I went immediately in the sauna. It's my biggest mistake. And everybody was in the sauna sweating, and I went in a corner. I was shaking like this, and I said, "Oh God, don't look at me, those guys, because I'm shaking." Those guys didn't say anything about me. And when they go out from the sauna, they met the owner. Said, "Wait, go! It's somebody shaking in the sauna. So leave him." He went outside, and he told him, "Leave him there. He will be okay." But it was a big mistake for me because I didn't know anything about recovery. That's why I told you this story. And after that day, the owner put on the Facebook the movie with me, and the guy who is the instructor, Romanian instructor of Wim Hof Method, said, "I want to help this guy." And from the second session, I started to do the Wim Hof, and he showed me everything, and everything was all right, you know. But we don't have to play with the recovery. Recovery, I think, is the most important thing in ice swimming.
Yeah, Ger, I understood from the Russians what they've been doing in Siberia, with the towels and on the rubbing the snow on the skin. What did you do post swim on the ship?
Again, with the shower, I mean, thankfully I've had experience with just a shower, a hot shower, you know, which is fine. I mean, Paul has his way and Kat has her way, but everyone has their own little unique recovery likes. It was very well documented about to everyone. That's all we had on board. And so basically I'd sit in the shower and literally with a towel around me, and they would literally just keep pouring the water over my back and my kidney areas, you know. It's quite, you know, the recoveries our recoveries are quite strong, which is kind of not normal for 0 degrees, you know what I mean? I mean, you know, Paul is quick, Cat is strong, I'm the same. We do shake, but then it goes away, I'd say, probably 15 minutes maybe for 3 of us, where we actually start to lift the head and converse easily, you know.
Yeah. You mentioned pouring the warm water on your kidneys. Why do you do that?
Well, the kidney is the closest organ to outside your body, and you usually get quite a sharp pain in your kidneys because that's your closest organ, you know. Your fingers and hands, you know, we all know that it's going to hurt, but the kidney areas, it kind of starts the recovery as you start to lean over. The body kind of cocoons itself and it goes into a slightly fetal position anyway when the body's extremely cold, and then as you start the rewarm process, your body starts to lift and release that kind of lock on your arms around your body, you know.
Got it.
It's quite good, but it was, again, these were all meticulously detailed planned when we were on board, and we actually walked through the recoveries, the pre-recovery, and who was doing what task and what job. So, you know, it wasn't, again, we made it look simple, but we put a massive amount of effort into this for all our swimmers, to mind them, to look after them, that nobody has any kind of incident. They're not left alone. You know, everyone's treated as equal on their swim, recovery wise, and you know, and it's very important. And it did work this time. And it can be difficult to make things work like this when you're confined on a ship, you know.
Yeah, and Ger, you mentioned that on your own particular swim, you had a chest. You had some kind of congestion in your chest, and you had to defer. Was there a doctor that actually made that decision, or was that a self-determined decision?
Yeah, we had the expedition doctor, which was Anthroply's doctor itself, and then we had medical officer appointed, which was Martina Ring, and I had already seen the doctor 2 days before that, the MD on board, which we were actually allowed to use from the start. And we stressed that I had a wheezing chest, and I knew I was fighting. I was difficult. I was getting worse. So I failed the medical. I think I failed that morning. Obviously, repeat the process. I think 2 or 3 times. I think I even did. Third time I said stop. You know, because I knew I wasn't right. And some of the briefings have said if I you know, if I jeopardize the whole expedition by swimming and I have become a casualty, well, then literally the ship will have to turn around. It will destroy it for everybody. So it was a lot weighing on my mind, and I chose to opt out, and that was inside the Antarctic Circle. And it was the right call. Not the tough call, but the right call. And then obviously then the opportunity arose for Cat and Paul to take my place, because I was the only person to swim in the Antarctic Circle, which was agreed with the captain and directors of the ship, you know.
Got it. So are you going to have a sequel, you know, Antarctica 2.0?
I don't know. The group stuff is difficult. Individually, yeah, I'm young enough to maybe have an opportunity financially to go back. There is other places I'd like to visit, because it is a big expense. You know, that I think to swim there, even to go there, for me, that was my 7th continent to swim in. And to go there, I mean, it was a privilege to be able to financially afford that. So I think, I wouldn't say never, but I think regarding a group swimming team, probably not.
Got it.
It's don't be wrong. It's quite stressful, and I did feel it quite a lot, because it's just the way it is. You put your hand up to be an expedition leader, you have to take responsibilities, consequences, structure. You have a lot of things weighs on you, and then you have to try and swim yourself.
Yeah.
So that burden can be difficult, and but I managed it, and but I don't think my wife would say yes anymore.
Yeah. No, I mean, what you did as the leader, you literally had 15 separate swims. It wasn't like it was a mass swim of 15 people together. It was one after another. So my hands off.
Yeah. No, and myself and Ram Barkai, IISA chairman, we've discussed this quite a lot about Antarctica, and it's a very difficult place to coordinate. You know, people have paid a lot of money to swim. It's not as simple as that. You know, as you can see by wildlife, what happens, things happen instantly there because you're only a visitor. So, you know, to go there and say, well, I paid this money and I have to swim. Yeah, that isn't as simple as that. And again, with Ram and discussions we talked about, it can prove difficult. Weather can change. Everything can be turned upside down within 24 hours. And he had the experience himself. So my aim was to make sure we're able to do the best we can. Everyone's trying to get everyone's dream swim, and then come back from Antarctica, not actually destroying swimming in Antarctica, which is the future now is bright, you know, for that reason.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you all for participating. This has been a fascinating time to listen to the Zero Ice Swimmers, and I wish you well. We'll put this on openwaterswimming.com within the day. Congratulations, of course.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Cheers, Stephen.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.